So, hi everybody, welcome to the 10th Diaspora Technology Session. My name is Kugonza Akiki.
Kugonza, 1 second. Did you hit the record button already?
Okay. Yes. My name is Kugonza Akiki. In IT, I'm in IT operations management as well as I'm a web developer. So that's what I do. Those who want to know more about what IT operations management is, so we basically we have software that manages the different data centers around the world. So I primarily focus on Micro Focus tools, which manage the infrastructure and the applications of an enterprise. Next will be, I think, Robert Kiggundu.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Good morning, wherever you are. Robert Kiggundu is my name. I live in Chicago here, Chicago, Illinois. I am an IT generalist, so to speak, and I'll tell you why when we get into the presentation. But today, my role is with a company called Intercontinental Exchange. And I am in the operations division, specifically in the data center operations of that company. Akiki hinted a little bit what a data center, I don't think he told you what the data center is. I'll be getting into that detail when we start the presentation, but that's the brief about me.
Thank you. Next will be Sophia Mukasa.
Hi, so yes, my name is Sophia Mukasa, and I am in the Chicago area. That's my home. And I started a career in healthcare IT industry back in 2013. So it's been quite a while. That really, that's just about the background that I have as far as IT is concerned, and I'll get into the details of, what I do later when we do the 15, minutes into, sessions.
Okay. Thank you, Sophie. And next is John Mutyaba.
Yes, a pleasure to be here. My name is John Mutyaba. I live in Minneapolis, a suburb of Minneapolis called Eagan. I've been here since 1994. I came from Iowa in 94 after college, after graduation with a master's in business administration. Then my first job was at US Bank in accounting, because I'm a certified public accountant. So as a CPA, it turned out that we had to do a lot of work that's related to information technology. So when I found that out, and it turned out that having a career in just accounting was not as lucrative as it, as a combination of accounting and technology. So my career started out as an accountant, and then it turned out that I became a certified information security auditor at US Bank. I worked in corporate internal audit. I did that for 6 years, and then from then on, I've held different roles within information security. I got different certifications that I will try to make sure that people who are here and are interested can see or be inspired. Be inspired to get into information security.
Okay.
Someone is speaking over me, but
Okay.
I guess
All right.
I will provide more information as we go along.
Okay. All right.
So
Yes,
during the 15 minutes, someone was, can you mute, please, someone with the iPhone?
yeah, I'm trying to find out who that is.
Good.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
so yeah, that's me in a brief, but I've been in information technology for over 20 years, having started as an accountant, as a certified public accountant.
Okay. Thank you, John Mutyaba.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I think we'll be beginning with Robert Kiggundu, who will be the one. Robert Kiggundu, you have control. If you have anything to share and present, you can go ahead and we start.
All right. Thank you, Akiki. Once again, names of Robert Kiggundu, a resident of Chicago. And I'd like to begin by thanking our host, Akiki, for having us here today and for having started Diaspora IT Session. This actually primarily kicked off after Chicago, Chicago 2019. And since then, Akiki has been holding these sessions. I think he said this is the 10th. And all of them pretty much had advanced or high-level speakers talking about advanced topics. So when he invited me to come back here and talk about the beginning, which is what I did talk about in Chicago at the convention, I thought that is a timely thing to do, because once it's very easy for us as technologists to get into high-level topics, advanced topics, and we forget that some people are only beginning. And it is without information on how to begin or where to begin, they may never get in. And so we kind of stir ourselves up at the high levels and not get any new members of the community joining us. So, and with that, let me begin by giving a brief overview of the IT industry for those who are completely new. Again, I say that because that's where my focus is. Computing was the calculators. Calculator came up, and that's all there was in terms of a computer. And then a few years down the road, the bigger computers came in, the mainframes, as they called. And those were used primarily in the enterprises or in companies, so to speak, to do some productivity work. And then somewhere around the 80s, the small computer, the microcomputer, the PC as we call it, came on stage. And that changed quite a bit the world. It simplified so many things that today we find ourselves doing everything using a computer. Okay, so first was just a simple calculator, and then as we advanced, these big computers came on stage, used to fill up a room as big as a house. And then at further advancement, we came down to the smaller units, which are the PCs, and then the handhelds that we use today. The other thing that happened in between after the 80s there was the development of networking, meaning, okay, instead of using this unit in the enterprise where it is, how do you connect it between one geographical point to another? So in the enterprise, it was the small network, also called a local area network. And then when the technology emerged that enabled connecting more than one site or one geographical area to another, the so-called wide area network or the internet, that also changed everything to where we are today. So that's the brief that I can give for anybody who's coming in afresh, that it slowly progressed to where we are today, that the world is actually interconnected and heavily dependent on information technology. So what is the big picture today in terms of careers? Everybody, a lot of people think that to do, to work in tech means you have to be a nerd, somebody very technical, you know, knowing programming and stuff like that. I'm here today to impress upon you that that's really not the case. Technology companies do hire a lot of people in non-technical roles. Actually, research shows that about 43% of all roles in technology companies are the non-technical roles. What are those roles? You have people like managers. Believe it or not, there's management in IT. You have designers. Believe it or not, there's designing in IT. I'll give you an example. If you ever used an application and you don't like the way it looks, you think it is funky or clunky, that means somebody, whoever designed that user interface, as we call it, did not do a very good job. So there is a whole set of people who do nothing but user interface design, meaning ensuring that everything looks attractive and presentable and functional to the end user. There's so many other roles that are non-technical. Those who are in IT, in healthcare. There is a whole set of regulation from the government that mandates that healthcare organizations do certain things in order to keep patient information safe. And with that comes a lot of opportunity for one to get in. That is all considered IT. You got compliance auditors. You have analysts who sit there and ensure that organizations are complying with the government regulations and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to get in, even on a non-technical side. Much as I would also like you to get interested into the really technical things that we're not going to get into that much today, because we're just discussing entry points. At least I am dedicated to discussing entry points. The big thing, or the major thing that everybody, or the question that everybody asks themselves is, well, how do I get in? And it is very easy to assume that you need this advanced degree, you gotta go to a university and the traditional way that we know how people get knowledge. Today, I'm here to tell you that that's not really the case. Much as it would be nice to have that degree, it's not the only way in. There are other ways to get in. There are other ways for you to get yourself trained and get the knowledge that you need to get started in an IT role. What most hiring managers out there look for is demonstration of interest and proficiency. And how do you demonstrate your interest? Is by going out and getting some knowledge. And the only way to prove to anybody you get in front of and trying to seek a job is some sort of documentation. And the easiest way to do that is getting a certification. There are providers out there, so call them entities that provide certification, besides the mainstream colleges and universities. We have nonprofits in this industry that do specialize in putting together learning material, books and videos that one can utilize to, and at the end, get a document from them that shows that you have this knowledge and you're proficient in whatever the area of IT is. One of the main non-vendor neutral, as we call them, non-profit organization that I want to point you to is called CompTIA. We also call that, or the long of that is Computing and Trading Industry Association.
Yeah, Mr. Robert Kiggundu, I would like to chime in a little bit. So you have 15 minutes, you have 5 minutes to go. And I was also wondering if you have a slideshow. Yeah, because every panelist will have 15 minutes. So so you started at 5:05. So you have another 5 minutes.
Okay, well, let me speed through this. I will provide the slide at the end for distribution.
So maybe what we can do, in case we are done with the rest, then maybe you can come in later to finish the other part in case there is more you want to provide. But yeah, but I was just giving you a heads up.
Oh, okay. All right. So real quick, training is the important thing. Is you gotta get the knowledge in order for you to be able to get in. How do you get the knowledge? I am pointing you towards non-profit organizations that do certify people on technologies. And they also, the companies themselves, the major vendors in the industry today that also have their products and have tests that you can do, and you can become an expert in that, on those specific technologies, and you can go out into the field and present that as proficiency that you can actually do something in IT. Massive open online courses, as we call them. When I distribute the slide, you'll see there's edx.org and there's Coursera. There is what I call edutainment, where you're watching somebody, a professor recording themselves in a very interactive way, non-boring, that you can listen to and get the same knowledge as somebody who's going to the university. The goal is for you to get a certification. CompTIA has a beginning one called IT Fundamentals that I recommend for anybody who is coming in new to this, because you really need to be grounded in that fundamental base for you to thrive in this industry. And then as you advance, you can go to A+ and Network Plus and so on and so forth. Because looks like I may not have all the time, I wanted to talk to you about what I do specifically, which is in data center operations. All and every company's IT, or any entity's IT, it's got to be run somewhere. And most companies have their IT equipment in these special facilities we call data centers. In there is lots of opportunities for you to work. And actually, it's an easy way to get in, because you need some fundamentals, as I hinted earlier, from CompTIA and others, know about networking, know about security and in few elements, as you'll discover when you start getting in. But in a data center, this is where we maintain all the IT equipment, and this is actually the nerve and center of any organization in terms of its IT. You need to take a look at this. There's so many data centers in the country. I looked at our metros where I know most Ugandans live. Chicago is one of them. Dallas-Fort Worth has a lot of data centers. New York City, Phoenix, Arizona, Seattle, Washington, DC, and in the South Bay in California, known as San Jose. These are facilities where IT equipment is run and operated, and you need a certain skill set to be able to get in and do that. But there's a lot of work. Sometimes most of these positions go unfilled, and they are easy to get in as long as one goes out and gets the fundamental knowledge that you need to get started in these roles. So with that, I would like to, I don't know how much time I have remaining, But I would love to go into more details, maybe in the Q&A when we get time. But that's the brief of what I wanted to talk to you about today. And I thank you very much, Akiki, for the opportunity.
Yes, Mr. Robert Kiggundu, all we didn't see was the slides you were talking about. You didn't share the slides, so but that's fine.
Oh.
It looks like either you forgot or something, but.
Yes, okay. Well, are we going to distribute them, right?
Okay, yeah, we shall distribute them and people will be able to see that. And you can also put in the chat, maybe some of the, especially the fundamental thing you talked about. You can put it in the chat for the meantime, so that people can maybe have a look at it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll do it.
Yeah, so the next person is Sophia Mukasa. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and you begin your session.
And before she goes, can everybody else mute, or can you mute everyone else until they have to speak? Because I heard some noises over there.
Yeah, I've been trying to do that. I think I should mute everybody and then unmute the people who are presenting.
Yeah.
Yeah, mute everyone.
Yeah, let me try to do that.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
All right. So, brief introduction again. I'm Sophia Mukasa, and I am in the healthcare IT industry. I started back in 2013. So, like Robert was saying, a lot of people when we hear IT, we automatically think of putting computers apart and putting pieces together and all the hardcore IT work. But like he said, it's really not the case, and there is a lot of opportunity out there. It may be an umbrella of IT, but there is a lot of different jobs that actually can follow along with information technology, depending on where your interest is and capabilities. So I will concentrate on what I know best with the IT world, and that's healthcare IT. So I created a very short, just to give people a little bit of, if anybody wants to take down a few, notes or whatever. So what is healthcare IT? Robert hinted a little bit about it earlier. It exists as an initiative to improve patient care in the aspect of health information and security for clinical information for patients. So this became a mandate, I believe, in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, to where all hospitals and medical practitioners were required to go electronic. So gone are the days where you go to the hospital clinic to visit, and they pull out a big file that has all different papers of prescriptions and everything that pertains to your health information on paper, and they'll keep it in a cabinet somewhere, and there are not so many. There are some entities that still run on paper, but for the most part, everybody is digital, and eventually, everybody is going to be required. So what happens with that is, on my next slide here, is there is something called the electronic medical record. That's EMR, and this is pretty much all that governs healthcare IT. When you visit a hospital or a clinic, everything is digital from the time you come in, insurance, all your history, what hospitals you've gone to, and all your medical record, it's all digital. So electronic medical record came up, and there is a few softwares that are out there that were developed for this. And, some of them are called, some of them are like Epic, Cerner, Meditech, Allscripts, NextGen. These are all the softwares out there that support hospitals when it comes to the medical record world. Healthcare IT jobs in the market, there are so many. There is application analysts, and what I mentioned earlier, the Cerner and Epic and Meditech, and those are all the different applications out there. So there is application analysts, there is implementation managers. There's normally when a hospital goes electronic, they do a whole implementation of the software, and there is project managers that manage those implementations. There is clinical informatics specialists, HIT consulting, which is what I do actually. I'm a training consultant, and what I do for my job is I go to different hospitals. Those of you who follow me on social media, I know that I'm always in a different state every other month. But I travel to different hospitals during implementations, and what I do is I train doctors and nurses how to use software whenever they're going onto the systems. So I am experienced in Epic, Cerner, and Meditech. So that's also, a big thing right now, which eventually, of course, when everybody is implemented, probably, implementations will not be the in thing, but there is a lot of, training, coordinating jobs, and, it's endless. Doctors and nurses, pretty much some of the most biggest job in healthcare used to be, but now I actually like to say that they can really not work without the support of technology, because the way things are now with computers, doctors and nurses can't really do much of their work without the support of the technology piece of it. So it's a very big industry in the healthcare industry. As far as education programs go and how one can break into the healthcare IT industry, like Robert said, of course there is the streamlined old-fashioned way of, going to a 4-year college degree or whatnot, and you could go that route. There is a lot of programs out there, like I've listed a few of them that, if you were to join a college or university, you can research and find out, what catches your interest. There is EMR credentialing and certification, which is more of a lesser scale, to where you don't have to go for a full 2 years or 4 years, and you can be certified in any of the applications, Epic. The only thing is, it's not so easy to just walk into, for example, Epic University and tell them I want to be certified, with your software. You have to be sponsored by hospitals, and it's kind of difficult to actually get those certifications. But the people who are in the healthcare industry already, like if, nursing or whoever, if you're working in the hospital, it's very easy to pretty much get a hold of your hospital leadership and let them know what your interests are as far as health informatics is concerned. And a lot of hospitals are always willing to actually send their people out to, the different places where they can go to get certification and, be credentialed. And these different softwares. And really, that's just about it on my side. I don't have so much of detailed how-tos, but if anybody has any questions, I can try and answer them in the Q&A as much as I can.
Okay, do you have any links as regards the certifications?
And so that's the thing. There is the developers that out there, like for example, for the software Epic, there is Epic University. You go to the website and information is out there on their website on what you can do, but it's not very streamlined on as far as obtaining these certifications, because they mainly work with the hospitals. A lot of people get certified through hospitals. Like if you work for a hospital, or you don't even have to be in the IT. You have with them and you just show interest.
Yeah, so if you have any links that you can get, because we'll be sharing these slides after. If you have any links,
I can try and find some stuff.
Yes. Yeah, if you can find some, that will be good. And then you can also put some in the chat we'll find right now later on. And yeah, are you done with your part of presentation?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So next we shall go to the professor, John Mutyaba.
How do I get out of this?
I think he's getting to stop presenting.
I'll change it to mine here.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kiggundu. I really appreciate the opportunity here to speak about information security careers and cybersecurity in general. That's the buzzword. They call it cybersecurity. If we could get out of here, and if I can inspire at least one person to get into information security, that will be a great thing for me. And the previous two speakers, I really thank you for a job well done. Now I know more about informatics and information and healthcare security, healthcare technologies. So for my part here, I've been in information security for some time. Like I told you at the beginning, I started out as a certified public accountant, and my role was to audit the accounting books. But when you do that, all the data is kept in databases and it's stored on networks. And you want to make sure that you have internal controls over technology so that you can rely on the information that's coming out of those systems. So that's how I started. I got interested in that, and I became a certified information security auditor in the beginning. And I played that role for at least 6 years until I got into really what you call information security or cybersecurity. What does a cybersecurity professional look like? When they tell us about cybersecurity, we think this is what we think of. We think of those people sitting there in dark rooms and and doing their work as geeks who are really not social, but really that's not the case. In reality, those are the people who work in information security. They're just like any one of us. So one single vulnerability that's exploited by a bad guy can put a big company like Citibank on their knees, because In today's world, we find that most of the assets, the digital assets of a company, are stored on the network, and they need to be secured. Cybersecurity is the most important constituent of information security. It protects all kinds of systems, data, and the people. Cybersecurity is one of the supreme concerns of companies, private or public, wherein they all soliciting young and fresh talent to join hands for protecting the company against untargeted as well as potential malware and cyber attacks. A career in cybersecurity is really highly on demand at this moment as I speak in almost every industry. So cybersecurity professionals are highly paid individuals that have high potencies of identifying and fixing those vulnerabilities. As we can see from here, every year digital crime costs about 400 billion to those large companies. 97% of companies have been a victim of digital attack. 55% have seen increased cybersecurity attacks. 22%, as you can see, only 22% can say that they're prepared to deal with all kinds of incidents in the future. 73% say digital security is on the board agenda. So it's a really high, it has high visibility from the top of the large corporations that we see today. Who is hiring and who is at risk? Now, you see the security consultancies, government, critical national infrastructure, pharmaceutical companies, telcos like AT&T, law firms, retail business, the big four, oil and gas. All of these are looking for talent for information security. There's actually, there's a big gap between what the industry is looking for, what the needs of cybersecurity talent, than what the market can provide. So we have seen a lot of people going into information security. Maybe in the future it will even out, but right now these information security people are on high demand. These are just some of the threats that we see today. Zero-day attacks, cloud leakage, mobile malware, targeted attacks, SQL injections. So these are vulnerabilities that bad people can use to attack a company and gain access to data or systems and be able to defraud or to steal data. Credit card data, you have heard on the news. Large companies have lost credit card data in like Target. We have here in Minneapolis, we have a company called Target. It's a big retail operation. They lost 149 million credit card records. So in order to avoid all of that, you need to have a good program for information security within the organization. What are the threats? There's so many threats. Let me go back here real quick. There are hacktivists. There's organized crime. State-sponsored. Those are like Iran or Russia. There's some people, they call them script kiddies. They run scripts just to figure out what's out there, and they can get it onto your website and turn it upside down. We also have insider threats. Someone working within the organization can help malicious people to come to get into systems and steal data. So that's why you see all these organizations, they do criminal background checks so that they don't hire people who are going to to turn into threats for them. Ransomware is now on, ransomware, that's where people actually steal your database and then they ask you for money. They use malware that can help them to steal your data, and then they encrypt it so that you have to pay them to get it back. So, but all of that is just an example of kind of threats that you face as an organization. Why would you pursue a career in cybersecurity? As we can see here, there are technical opportunities. There are non-technical opportunities. Don't think of cybersecurity as being for people who are so technical and different from anyone else. You can do vendor management, for example, within cybersecurity. That's on really high demand because that's where you have risks introduced by a third party within the organization. So you have to have a program in place so that you audit your vendors, you make sure that they don't introduce risks that that would undermine your security. There's significant investment in the sector. There's massive growth opportunity. There's a skills shortage, as I mentioned earlier on. And yeah, there are genuine career paths for you. You can be a specialist or a generalist. If you want to be a specialist, you really have to take those certifications like the previous speakers spoke about. There are long-term options because cybersecurity is going to be around for quite some time. There's potentially lucrative. You can get paid well, and you can't have it any better, especially if you like computers and you're going to secure them and get paid for it. You would just be like Michael Jordan. They're playing basketball and getting paid for it. What could you do? These are the kind of different roles that you can play within the cybersecurity, within the cybersecurity framework. You can be a penetration tester. That means that you have tools to test the systems to make sure that an outsider or malicious person cannot come in and get into that system. So you have people from the network side, like my friend Robert was talking about. You can try to penetrate a network, or you can try to penetrate an application. And see, you really have to go for training for that because that requires extensive skills to be able to know all the things that a malicious person, an intruder, would be doing. And so those are called white hat hackers. You have to take, a course to do that. But here, all I was trying to do, these are the different roles you can play. You can be a security engineer, which is what I do. You can be a security architect. You can actually do sales. You can be in sales of security system or security systems, like what Sophia was speaking about. You can be a security consultant or incident response analyst or a security manager, or you can be on top of it all and be the chief information security officer. These are some of the non-technical opportunities within cybersecurity. They have security awareness. That's where you go, you run a program and tell people, that there's phishing. You want to avoid any kind of emails that might be a trickery on you, so that you can get, when you click on something, it takes you to a bad site, and then someone can easily run certain programs behind that and take ownership of your computer and be able to get into company systems. You have psychologists and sociologists, business graduates, and legal and regulatory. So these are all different things that you can do within information security. You don't really have to always be so technical. What are the tips? Don't assume that you have to be too technical. If you are technical, don't think dark rooms are hoodies. If you are not sure, start somewhere. There's always a beginning. You can change careers. Don't worry about money. The first thing that you have to do, the only thing that has helped me as a person to be in security was that I loved computers, and that everything was just building upon that. Getting paid was a secondary thing. As far as my thing was just, I wanted to know, how can you have a company report $20 billion in assets? How can you, how do they know that? How do they, 20 billion is a lot of money. How do these companies know where all of this is stored, and how do they account for that? So that was the beginning of it, just a quest for knowledge, and then it just turned out to be a career. So you could do the same thing. So don't worry about money, because like I said, right now the business is doing very well, and a lot of people are getting paid very well. You can work from home. I haven't left the house since COVID started, but I still get paid. So I'm just saying that that should not be your focus. Don't focus on the money first. Just get the knowledge. Go to these conferences. The information security conferences can be costly, but it's worth it, because you really learn a lot. So what are these different certifications that you can look for as you start your career? I've heard there's a gentleman there that was on Facebook, and he was working on his certified information security auditor, and also his certified information system security professional, CISSP. And those are all great certifications to start with. But you can still get in the door without any certification at all. You have to have the interest, and you have to show your interest, and to show that there's a career path for you within security, and you're working on your way to achieving those certifications. So you have ISACA, ISACA.org, IC Squared, EC Council. Mr. Kiggundu talked about CompTIA. So there are so many different certifications that you can get registered into, so that you get into the business of securing information. I don't know, did I? Yeah. So that's my 15 minutes, I think. Any questions? I think we can cover that during the open session.
Mutyaba, thanks a lot for that presentation. Wonderful information. So I would also want to tell everybody, if you want to receive these slides, please put your emails in the chat. These slides will be sent out after the sessions are over. And, in the meantime, Q&A is open, and you direct your questions to the specific panelist you want to ask. If it's healthcare IT, you direct your question to Sophia Mukasa. If it is data center and IT operations, direct that question to Robert Kiggundu. And if it's cybersecurity, direct your questions to John Mutyaba. Yes, the floor is open. You can begin the questions. So if anyone I put on mute, you can ask to be unmuted, because there was background noise.
So Akiki, I see one in the chat
Yes.
asking Mr. Mutyaba, thank you very much for that information. And he says, I have my CISA Isaac exam coming up and he would like your help with some key points that can help me pass the exam. In what domain should I concentrate on?
What's his name?
He's on a cell phone. He says a Galaxy, so I don't have a name, but he typed it in the chat.
It's
Okay.
Sam.
Is that Sam?
Yes, this is Cyrus.
Cyrus. Okay, Cyrus. Very glad to hear that you're on your way to joining the cybersecurity career. And my advice to you is, because I took all these certifications, if you have been preparing for this for at least 3 months, what I did a lot was I answered a lot of questions before the exam. You have to do simulations of the exam. So for now, if you're taking your exam on Tuesday, you're almost done studying. You're just now getting ready to take the exam. So the best thing to do at this point is to simulate, get exam simulations, and work those questions. I think I answered at least 3,000 questions before taking any major question. So it's you don't really have to answer that many. I prepared myself and I had time to do that, but that's what I would recommend. As far as domain coverage, the way they have these exams is that they're going to cover all the domains. So you can expect to have all of them. I know that they provide a percentage, which I don't think, because I took this long time ago. You cannot concentrate on one domain. So you have to do your access control. You have to do your network and your applications development sections. I would, for CISA, if you have those 3 covered very well and the audit part of it, you should be good. For CISSP, I also think that, because you said you're going to take that as well, that's where you need to do at least more than 3,000 questions. And you have to do, if you can take some, sign up for a conference and cover everything that is out there. I also use, to tell you the truth, I use a lot of YouTube, and I actually pay for my YouTube, YouTube Red, so that I don't get any ads on my YouTube. YouTube has a lot of things that they will teach you about, and in fact, I think you can even pass the whole thing without by just relying on YouTube videos. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does partly. I mean, it does answer my question. But my major concern about the domains is the controls. That's where I get my main the difficult with all the domains. I'm a little bit familiar with them, but then when it comes to the controls, that's where I get a little bit confused with what controls and everything. And I've tried to do the simulation tests, questions from the mostly from the ISACA.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I still get some problems with the controls.
Okay, so the controls, that's what you have to learn in the first. Actually, that should be the audit section. A control is any process or procedure that you put in place to reduce a risk. So And then when it comes to testing that control, you can test the operational effectiveness or the design of that control. Is it designed well to reduce the risk for which it's intended? So you want to make sure that you have mostly preventative controls rather than what they call detective controls. A preventative control will prevent something from happening. A detective control will find something that has already happened and try to mitigate it. So if you have an intrusion detection system, for example, it will detect something that has already happened. But if you have a system for preventing intrusions, then you have to have an IPS, intrusion prevention system. So that kind of line of thinking.
Okay, let's go to the next question. It's from Juliana. Her question is, I think it will go to Robert Kiggundu. What are the requirements working in a data center, and approximately how many data centers are there in the US? Robert Kiggundu, are you there?
Yes, I am here. Okay, to work in a data center, you need to know some networking, okay? You need to know the physical stuff that enable IT, meaning what is a server, what is a firewall, what is a switch, what is a copper cable, what is a fiber cable, those things. Most importantly, in terms of certification, you need about A+. So if you go to CompTIA, like I said, you're gonna, if you begin a CompTIA from zero, start with the fundamentals. I put that link in the chat. Then go to the A+. Get the knowledge. Even if you don't get to do the exam and get the certification, it would be nice to have it because it will help you when you get in front of a hiring manager. But they also want to know that you know what you're talking about. So get the knowledge. Even if you went to look for this data center job and you don't have the certification, at least you have the knowledge and be able to talk about that stuff. Connectivity in the data center is all about cooling, electricity, and connectivity. Computers, servers produce a lot of heat, so there's cooling aspect to it. So that's why we call them special facilities. We worry about keeping machines cool. We worry about keeping things connected and keeping them up. We call that uptime. And you have to know how to interconnect things. You have to know the theory behind, if I connect a switch to a server or a switch to a firewall, what is happening there? That's where Network Plus comes in. If you look at the commercial that we send out to you guys, you see I have an N+ listed and against my name. That's because I went out and sought that Network Plus certification, because once you have A+ knowledge and Network Plus knowledge, certifications, very good to have, you can apply and get any data center job. In data center, the other thing that there is you have to be able to move quickly. You have to have some customer service skills, because something is going to go down. Mutyaba is at home. Firewall went off. I mean, the firewall went down. Now he can't do anything until you in the data center help him out. So you got to have some customer service skills. You got to be able to move quickly, make quick decisions, and you're good. And also ability to at least lift some 50 pounds sometimes, because if a server or a firewall like that or a switch goes down and you have to replace it, you have to be able to move it out of the rack. We put this equipment into racks. You got to be able to move it out and put a replacement in. You got to have, again, network knowledge to be able to console in and put log into the machine and give it an IP address so that now Mutyaba and others who are working from the home, these remote locations, can come back in and manage things. So A+ and Network+, those will get you in.
Okay. We have another question here. Does A+, Network Plus, and the Security Plus put you in cybersecurity?
Those are really those are some of the domains that our friend, I don't recall what was his name, that our friend was talking about. So yes, you need to have skills. You're not required to. Let me rephrase. As a cybersecurity professional, the domains that we are interested in are network security. So you have to know how the networks are set up. All those different devices that Robert was talking about, you need to know what they are and how they function. However, like I told you, you are not always going to be a technical person within cybersecurity. So it's not a requirement that you do know or have taken A+, but it helps if you do, because when you do your preparation for cybersecurity, you need to understand applications development, because if you're going to secure applications, you need to know, systems development life cycle, how to secure these applications by design. Then you are also going to put that application on a network or on the internet. So what are the vulnerabilities of the network? You need to have some understanding of that. You don't have to be a master of it, but you need to have some understanding of it. So to answer your question, it helps to know that, but it's not a requirement.
Okay, another question is, my question is actually to John. Where did you begin first in your cybersecurity when you were now in North America?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. And I really wish that I had talked to someone when I first came to the USA. I started out doing my Master's of Business Administration, and then I went into accounting. So those roles kind of didn't help me very much to they are good roles, but the movement is really slow. What I've found in cybersecurity is that it really does not matter who you are, what you look like, or anything like that. People care about what you can do. And if you bring the results, that's all they care about. Unlike those other fields in accounting, there's a lot of difficulty in social, so especially social kind of things.
Discrimination. You want to be polite.
which is not in cybersecurity, not as much in cybersecurity. So I began my career in accounting, and I ventured out into CISA, which is what the young man is trying to do. But that helps you to audit information technology. So I found out that if I could audit it, I went to one conference, Secure 365. In fact, you can look it up. That's where I took all the different sessions that they had. And I found out that I knew most of the things that you had to know to be a cybersecurity professional. So I ventured out and I stopped being an auditor and became a security engineer.
Okay. That's from John Mutyaba. We have another question. I think this is Robert Kiggundu. They are saying these days data centers are moving to the cloud. What is the future of working in a data center?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, whether it is a hyperscale company, as we call them,
How much is
when you say cloud,
Yeah.
even a cloud provider like AWS and Microsoft also run
They have data centers.
Yeah.
Yes. So data center is not going anywhere. Anyone that needs to run IT will always have a data center. I think what you're concerned about maybe is that these big players are going to come in and swallow these small ones. Not anytime soon, because there's many organizations have different considerations before they decide to move off premise, as we call it, to the cloud, meaning to go to these public clouds, AWS and Amazon and others. Those considerations go into regulations and other frameworks around them that sometimes they can't take certain things off premise and put it into the public cloud. Healthcare organizations are one of those, and financial companies are one of those. For example, the company that I work with, we have a completely private network. We can never go to the cloud as a matter of regulation. So the big guys are there. Many of the small companies are going to move their workloads and put them into the cloud simply because it is cheaper and so many other advantages. But if the data centers are still there, private organizations are still in the business and actually building. I looked at a report here just to answer the other question that I didn't get to. According to a report by energy.gov, there are about 3 million data centers in the US as of 2014. 3 million data centers. That's about one data center per about 100 people. Compared to Uganda, I think the only public data center that I know about today is one that is still under construction by a company called Raxio. And I think MTN might have one. So Uganda, just as for comparison, we still have a long way to go. But in the US, you always find work in a data center. You trust me. They're just building out actually.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, I think you're right about. We have, I think, more 3 minutes to go. I've not had any questions as regards healthcare IT. We don't have people interested in healthcare IT. Yeah, I know we have a lot of professionals in healthcare. Maybe I thought they would be interested in healthcare IT, but yeah. So yeah, so, there's one more question, two more questions before we go. One question is directed to Mutyaba, lady called Nasa. She just moved from Kenya to Canada. She needs your guidance. So all the panelists, please provide your information in the chat. That's, yeah, if you're comfortable with sharing both your email and phone number, that's fine. If only the email, that's also fine. So that these people can contact you directly with further questions. Because there are a lot of people who need help in this as regards career. So please provide that information in the chat so that people can. And yeah, and also if you need the slides, please provide your emails. We are about to end this session in the next minute. So yeah, so I have a question in terms of healthcare IT. What are the job trends as regards? I mean, what like in the, for example, someone who works in the hospital, how many IT jobs would you estimate to be there? This question goes to
Sophia.
Mukasa.
How many IT jobs in a hospital?
Yeah, you estimate to be there?
A lot. That it's a lot. That would require some, research to get the actual statistics, so that I don't give out, wrong information. But it's anywhere from, the health information management, the people who actually deal with the documents themselves and maintain it online. There is application analysts. There is application, trainers. It's a lot. It's really a lot. And I've actually had a lot of nurse friends who decided to even just, you know, when they got tired of being a nurse, they just went into health informatics and, you know, started doing that because it even gives you a better chance if you have the clinical background with different hospitals. If you already have like a clinical background as a nurse or whatnot, it's, you know, it gives you a huge, you know, plus.
Okay.
What you can do as far as the health information side goes. But yeah, there is, you know, a lot of times if you just go to like hospital websites for their career pages to find out what jobs they have, and you just type in health informatics or EMR jobs.
Okay.
You know, you'll get all the information.
Okay. Thank you, Sophia. So our session is done. So Sophia, I have not seen your email or contacts for people to contact you about that. Please add that to email. Also, you can update the slides, and I'll reach out to you via.
Can we do this after the session has ended, or how
Yes.
does that work?
Yeah, I mean, for the people here, there are some people here who would like to have your information either emailed to contact you later, you know, and also they may not have necessarily shared all the information, but they may be.
Okay, I just posted my email.
Okay. Yeah, so those who need the emails of Sophia has posted, Robert Kiggundu has posted, and as well as John Mutyaba. So get that information, and we are done. And I'll be sharing the slides in the next 30 minutes, as well as the recording.